to the BJ Show. Let's rock and roll. Rock and roll. Come on, everybody. Let's lose control. Brad and John, they're the ones to follow. Yeah, ready for the ride. It's the BJ Show. BJ Show.
It is the BJ Show for reference purposes for you people listening into the future. This is a live show. We do it live Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning, broadcast live streaming on KSLQ 104.5. We also put it up on our YouTube channel, which is bjshow.video, as well as our podcast channel, bjshow.co. And John, did I say it's January 20th, 2025, and it's 7 o'clock? It's actually the official time is 7:03. Have you heard the breaking news?
I haven't, Brad. What's the breaking news?
More pardons from Biden.
No way. I have not heard that. I thought you were setting me up for a punchline there. Did he end up pardoning Fuji White?
No, he ended up pardoning Dr. Fauci.
Wow, boy. Talk about a guy that needs to be pardoned.
and Chief of Staff Mark Milley, as well as all the January 6th congressmen, including, I think that would be Liz Cheney, who tried to, throw all the guys under the bus that were on January 6th at the Capitol back in 2021. Boy, this is going to be interesting. This is a historic day, and I looked this up, and someone asked me over the weekend, why is Martin Luther King's birthday on Inauguration Day? Do you know the answer to that question?
Well, because it just happens to be that way this year.
Right. It's a floating holiday, and they put it. They didn't give it a specific date. They put it. There's an act in government called the Let's Have a 3-Day Weekend Act or some crazy thing like that. And Martin Luther King birthday was designated to be the Monday. I don't know, the Monday after he was born. I think he was born on the 15th or something like that, January 15th. So that the holiday floats. So every once in a while, I don't know how long. I'm trying to look into the future. I wonder if in 2029, I wonder if it'd be the same thing. Anyway,
I don't know. Somebody, not to interrupt, Brad, but somebody asked me the exact same question yesterday, and it's like, why are they doing it on Martin Luther King Day? And I explained, no, that's not how it works.
Right, it's just coincidence. Okay, that is John Combest. Boy, there's a lot of stuff to talk about this morning, John. And we got to get going. Let me give you the intro on John. John is this guy who for the past 23 years now? So I got it right? Is it 23?
Yeah, I think it's 23 and change, yeah. 23
and change, gets up early every morning, puts together a list of all these important things that you should be aware of on his johncombest.com webpage, COMBEST, johncombest.com. And it's like the Drudge Report of Missouri. It's not anything fancy. You won't see dancing people there. You won't see all sorts of crazy videos. You won't see anything graphics. Matter of fact, you won't see any graphics. It's really bare bones. It's like Web 0.02. That's like V 0.02 way back in the 90s when I was doing websites. But even my website had more flash than John's. But that's a whole nother story. Anyway, we bring this guy along. And what's your name again, sir?
I'm Casey Kasem.
And what do you do?
We're on our way to the number one.
And we start off with?
In third place.
It's that time of year, Brad. You could hear it in your car when you're driving down a major thoroughfare. It is pothole season. I was driving the other day, Brad. I was swerving so bad, I looked like Brad Hildebrand leaving the barn at Lucerne back in the day. It was all over the place trying to avoid these potholes. Now, Brad, you are, among many topics, a transportation expert, and I want you to take a wild guess how many potholes MoDOT claims to fill on average every day.
3.
Now, caveat / asterisk. I don't know if they mean 365 days a year, or if you take out the federal and state holidays, they're only working 12 days a year. But on average, according to a story this weekend from KMIZ in Columbia, how many potholes does MoDOT claim to fill every day?
3.
The correct answer is 150.
That's it?
I thought the same thing, Brad. I thought in the entire state of Missouri, they would be filling more than 150. And I should pause here for a second and point out that in this KMIZ story, they were talking about how this is the time of year that MoDOT gets a lot of complaints, obviously, because the roads are getting in terrible shape because of winter and freezing and refreezing and all that stuff. Everybody knows the drill. But they were writing a piece about MoDOT's responsiveness, and this gentleman from MoDOT said that MoDOT fills 150 a year. Or I'm sorry, 150 a day. To me, that seemed like a really small number, doesn't it?
See, they should be doing 150 a day per crew. I mean, don't you think?
You would think, Brad. You would think, right? But Brad, I read that and I'm like, well, that explains why I'm hitting so many potholes every day.
How many counties are there in the state of Missouri, John? You know this number.
There are 114 plus the city of St. Louis.
So that would mean that in each county they fill 1.1 potholes a day or something like that.
I think so.
I mean,
but who knows? I mean, maybe in Harrison County today there's not a big pothole, so you could fill 2 in St. Louis County, you know?
Yeah, but you
can't fill them in the city because you can't get trucks through the thoroughfares there.
Right, and they still have iced up streets. It's interesting. I'm listening to another radio station before I go on the air this morning, and 2 of the 3 people in the morning team live in the city, and they still talk about the fact that their street has never been touched by a plow. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks yesterday, John. 2 weeks yesterday when the snow started falling.
So yesterday. Now, Brad, pairing up on this story, still in story number 3 today, I wanted to mention another traffic story. And it's fortuitous that we might have heard recently from our friend Shelley Barr, because I thought of Shelley when I heard this. A gentleman from the Missouri State Highway Patrol was talking about how in St. Joseph, Missouri, I don't know why St. Joseph, but recently in St. Joseph, they've had a bunch of road rage incidents. And the guy from the Highway Patrol was giving tips about, hey, you know, don't flick somebody off back, don't do anything to incite them. But then he's like, I'm paraphrasing here, Brad. He's like, by the way, if you're a slowpoke, don't try to drive in the passing lane. Passing lane is not for you to go the speed limit. The passing lane is for you to pass people. So let's not incite angry people in a rush by driving slow in the fast lane. Anyway, I thought of our friend Shelley, Brad, because I think of how often she probably sees you clogging up the leftmost lane or maybe even the middle lane, and she's like, get out of our way, you know?
I don't do that, John. On like a multi-lane highway like 270 or like 70 where it's got like multiple lanes, I'm usually a center lane kind of guy because of the fact that
I love that, Brad. I am too.
Because you know what's going to happen. If you're going 90, you're always going to get some butthead who's going to come up behind you doing 120 and flashes brights at you. Get out of the way. So I just stay in that center lane. But not only that way if you stay in the center lane, you don't have to worry about the people merging onto the ramps and stuff like that. You don't have to switch lanes for stuff like that. But anyway, that's just me. But, you know, once again, I'm not the model of anybody. I wonder if I'm going to get a presidential pardon today. Wouldn't it be nice if I got a pardon?
I think so. But think of the long list of crimes that you'd have to be pardoned for, Brad. You know what you can't get in trouble for? Something in story number 2.
And that would be?
Up a notch to number 2.
Brad, in story 3, we talked about how it's pothole season. But in story number 2, it reminds us that every day it's pothead season. The official numbers have come out, Brad. You and I have talked about this for an eternity. We talked about it back when you did the show with Shelley. You guys talked about this famously. We've talked about it probably once a month, but the final cannabis sales came in for the year 2024. And Missourians supported the cannabis industry, both quote unquote medical and recreational, to the tune of $1.46 billion in total sales. And Brad, as you were fond of pointing out, early on in 2024, it looked like the state might meet $1 billion in sales, and everybody's mind was blown. And if you wonder where the goalposts moved from, according to the Trade Industry Association, estimates when recreational marijuana passed in 2022, estimates were that by 2026, the total sales of marijuana would be between $800 and $900 million by 2026. Brad, last year, $1.46 billion in sales. So by any measure, and we've talked about this before, Brad, by any measure, you know, if you're in an industry or you're in a company, you try to kind of sandbag the numbers, you try to kind of float a low number out or a high number out. By any objective, Missourians purchased way more cannabis than ever believed possible in 2023 and especially now in 2024, Brad. So thank you, Brad, for your constant cannabis and edible consumption. I know you're a big fan of the drive-through cannabis dispensaries, and you're doing your part.
John, and we have to thank of that $1.46 billion, wasn't what you said?
Yeah, exactly.
I think there's about $300 million consumed by the carpool lane at the Francis Howell schools around the area, isn't
Absolutely, Brad. Absolutely. Not counting what they push out the driver's side window to the teachers. You know, the teachers have had a long day, and the teachers are like, "Look, just give me a dime bag, man. Whatever you got."
John found the email. What was that, by one of the principals, one of the elementary schools? Or
Oh,
was
the
it
superintendent, Brad.
superintendent at Francis High School, admonishing the parents for in the pickup lane smoking dope in the pickup lane, right?
Yeah, as a reminder, just because it's medicine, Brad,
Right.
just because you need your medicine for your glaucoma doesn't mean you can toke up when you're picking up little Johnny.
Right. And talking about creating a great parent image for your kids. Yeah, when my mom and dad used to pick me up from school, they were stoned. They would sit in the drive-through, the pickup lane, and toking on a doobie. Yeah.
It's incredible. But imagine today now, Brad, what people have today versus what they would have had 30 years ago. You could go to a dispensary and you could just get some edibles, and the kids would never know that you're baked as can be sitting in a drive-through lane, you know?
Yeah, back in the day, my friends joked about the fact that their father came to pick them up. Oh, no, none of their fathers ever picked them up at school, but if they did pick them up at school.
By the way, that's a mom's job.
Right,
Come
that's
on.
a mom's job. If they did pick up at school, moms had a can of Bud between their legs sitting in the front seat, right? That's the way it was back in the day. Okay, we ready for number one?
We are.
The number one.
As mentioned by you, Brad, not only is today Inauguration Day and a beautiful, happy, joyous day for people who supported Donald Trump, but it's a day that we should keep our progressive friends in mind. Indeed, in Columbia over the weekend, in Boone County, the People's Republic of Boone County had a rally on Saturday. And to their credit, these groups turned out approximately, according to media reports, 300 people to the Boone County Commission chambers, Brad. It was an overflow crowd, and they were commiserating about the fact that we're going to have to brace for what's going on with Donald Trump. It's a very sad period of our nation's history that begins today. They had speakers including, they had a guy, a transgender guy. I'm not sure if he's self-identified as, I believe he self-identifies as queer because he was at the Capitol a lot. His name is May Hall, not to be confused with June Water Closet, I guess. But maybe that's his cross-dresser name is May Hall. And they had, May Hall was there. I should point out too, Brad, that 300 people is impressive for any group to turn out. The event was sponsored by 26 different groups. So in other words, every group turned out maybe 10 to 12 people. And that include groups like the Mid-Missouri Democratic Socialists of America. So that's an interesting group. Also, Code Pink was there. And the Mizzou version of the Democratic Socialists of America was also there. Group for Missourians for Justice in Palestine. You can kind of figure it out, Brad. Kind of the Palestine groups, the socialist groups were there, Code Pink and others. So, Brad, let's remember our progressive friends as they deal with Trump derangement syndrome today, and as they lament the fact of, America barely got by in the years 2017 to 2021. It's amazing that the democracy survived, and democracy will probably die. I heard that on Oprah Winfrey. And so let's just remember our progressive friends today, Brad.
Yeah, Oprah Winfrey told us that if Trump got elected, that would be the last election ever. Which
is good though, Brad. Because just think of how bad traffic was off there, the exit off 70. Kurt Barr doesn't have to worry about any more election plans because This is the last election.
That's right. Matter of fact, he's cruising now because he's on vacation now because of the fact he doesn't ever have to work that stuff again, right?
Hey, Brad, speaking of elections real quick, I have a correction, excuse me, real quick from Friday. I was wrong about something, and I was wrong about a campaign finance deadline. Can I mention it real quickly?
Well, this was complicated because of the fact that you told the story that Tishaura Jones hadn't filed her report. Wasn't that what it was?
Yeah, that's exactly it, Brad. And as it turns out, the mayor's campaign, Tishaura Jones, she has two campaign committees. One is a regular campaign committee, and the other is a PAC, a political action committee. Her traditional campaign committee filed a January quarterly report. So did Kara Spencer. So did, other folks that are running. But as it turns out, Brad, if you are a PAC, you don't have to file the January quarterly report. You have to file what's called a 40-day out report. And that 40-day out report is due on January 23rd. Now, Kara Spencer's Associated PAC, it looks like, turned in a January quarterly report. But as I understand it, Brad, you can choose to turn in a January quarterly report, or you can wait until the 40-day out report. That's the way I understand it. So I was corrected on this, Brad, after Friday's show, and I stand corrected. So in other words, and my broader point that we made on Friday was that if you're a political reporter, you need to look at the campaign finance reports, not just of the candidate committee, but of the Associated PAC, Political Action Committee. So reporters will still need to wait before they say, hey, Kara Spencer's in the lead in money, or Tishaura Jones is in the lead with money. Wait until Tishaura Jones PAC does their 40-day report, and then you'll be able to compare apples to apples. So I stand corrected, Brad. And once again, I'll add the asterisk. What I know about county and city government could fit in a tiny little shot glass, Brad. I don't know anything about city politics or county politics. So I do stand corrected, and I welcome the opportunity to be educated on this by people who are much smarter about it than I am.
Okay, can I ask a question? Is 40 days out from Election Day? Is that what 40 days out is?
Yeah, you're exactly right. So remember that there will be an election in March in the city, and then the top two candidates, which could be Tishaura Jones and Kara Spencer, could be Tishaura Jones and Michael Butler, could be Michael Butler and Kara Spencer. The top two candidates will face each other in April.
The ranked choice voting thing is so screwed up. I mean, it's just a mess. You know, and once again, I say this, if you have to explain it, it's like in sales. If you have to explain it, you can't sell it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying, Brad.
And every time I hear these people justify, well, the ranked choice voting is good because, and then they give this long explanation. It's like, okay, whatever happened to he who gets the most votes wins? You know what I'm saying? I mean, how simple is that?
Yeah. I think if you were on the losing end of a whole bunch of elections, you would probably try to change the way people vote, you know?
Well, but why would the Democrats want to change it? Because they win every election in the city. I never understood that. Why would they want to change the voting? Because they already win every vote, right? It's there. When's the last time a Republican's been elected in the city of St. Louis? Was like back when Daniel Boone used to come here and on his way out to St. Charles or something like that?
I believe it was 1954, sometime around there in St. Louis City. But Brad, it's the old nose of the camel theory, or as you used to call it at Hazelwood High School, just the tip. The idea of if you get it to work, Brad, not like that, Brad. I meant tip of the spear. Well, anyway, if you get it to work in St. Louis City, then you can go to county leaders and pitch it. Then you can go to the state legislature and pitch it.
Okay. It doesn't make any sense to me, but, you know, we need to move on. Didn't Missouri pass a law or is trying to pass a law? Isn't one of the new laws that they're going to outlaw ranked choice voting?
Yes, you're exactly right, Brad. So really, we don't have to worry about it. But you know what? Let the city have any kind of voting system they want, Brad. It doesn't affect me.
You know, we should have the drive-by voting, and there'd be two candidates. You put two candidates' signs on the front of City Hall, and one's on the Tucker side, the other's on the Market side, and the one that has the most shell casings on the ground wins. How's that?
Well, what we know is we'd be able to get an accurate count because no snowplows would come and remove them.
Right. They'd be there forever. Okay. And street sweepers, what are they? Does the city have any of those? I don't think so. Okay. No. We have to take a break. Let me try to talk.